There are two key reasons why you are likely doing better than you think when it comes to manifesting what you want. You are more on track than you think you are, most likely. So in this video, I'm going to explain why I believe that you are going to manifest and thrive in 2025. But first, if you are new to my channel, then welcome. My name is Adrianne. I'm a manifesting coach and intuitive guide, and on my channel, we talk about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease. So if that is something you're interested in, I invite you to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you will be the first to know when I publish new videos. So the two reasons why I believe that you are doing better than you think when it comes to manifesting what you want are kind of mindset shifts and new ways of looking at what happened with what you're manifesting in 2024. So let's go ahead and get into those two very important and helpful reasons. Reason number one is you likely did better than you think in 2024. A lot of us conscious creators can get very focused on where we want to go, on our vision of what we want to manifest. Of course, that's a good thing, but the challenge or the problem can come in when we're always focusing on that vision, and then as we get closer and even when we manifest that vision, then we just kind of cast a new vision. And so we're always kind of putting ourselves in this state of lack, potentially, if we're always focused on where we want to be going, on the gap between where we are and the vision of what we want to manifest, versus being able to recognize and fully own the progress that we make as we're moving along towards manifesting what we want. Maybe I'm explaining that well, maybe not, but basically it is a concept that I've been revisiting from this book called The Gap and the Gain. So I want to share this with you quickly because even though this is not a manifesting book necessarily, it is one that has a really great mindset shift that's very applicable to manifesting, particularly to the kind of mindset that will help you more easily manifest and not get into attachment particularly. So they have this concept of the gap versus the gain, and it's really simple. It's basically, if you can see in this diagram, you have where you started, where you're starting from, you have your ideal or your vision of what you want to manifest, and then you have what you've actually achieved. So maybe in 2024, you actually manifested what you want, or maybe you're still on the path of manifesting some of your big goals or intentions. The gap and the gain that they're talking about in this book is that a lot of us conscious creators, personal growth students, we tend to focus on this gap between what we've achieved and the ideal that we're going for, and kind of measure ourselves against that and feel like I can't really be happy or feel proud of myself or fulfilled until I get to this ideal. Instead of measuring this instead, the difference between where we started and what we actually achieved. So basically just being able to focus on more this area of where we started and what we achieved. So being able to really own our achievements from 2024. So basically that is the first really important reason why I think you're going to manifest more successfully in 2025 than maybe you're giving yourself credit for, because maybe you're like me, where sometimes I can get stuck in that gap that they're describing in the book, where you're taking a look at your ideal of what you would want to be, of what you're wanting to be manifesting. You're not quite there yet, and you're focusing on that gap between where you currently are and the ideal. And maybe you're feeling like, I'm not there yet. You're focused on that gap, so you're feeling a lack in some way. Instead of, when we focus instead on the gain and what we have gained and what we have already made progress on, I guarantee that if you have any dreams from 2024 that are carried over into 2025, that if you looked at where you started with those dreams on January 1st, 2024, and then the progress that you made over the span of the year in the end of 2024, that there were a lot of gains that happened. And I think that it can be easy to sometimes overlook those gains and focus on the gap instead of how long there still is to go. But I really invite you to focus on and appreciate and measure, as they talk about in the book, the gains that you've actually made on your dreams and your goals in 2024, because then you will be building on more of this feeling of success, this feeling of abundance. And it's actually true. You did make that progress. It's not like you're imagining it or kind of trying to visualize or like fake it till you make it or anything. You're just being accurate and looking at the progress that you made. And maybe in some topics you didn't make the kind of outer 3D progress that you wanted to make, but most likely you went through a lot of powerful internal changes of releasing limiting beliefs, of developing new habits or new ways of looking at things to begin to transform yourself more and more into the person who can really manifest the desired reality, the goal, the intention. So that is the first reason why I think you're going to do well in 2025 and why you likely did better than you think in 2024 is because most of us aren't measuring accurately. We're too focused on the gap that still remains between where we are and where we want to go, instead of taking the time or spending more time in the gain, in what we have already gained along the path, and with noticing and celebrating our progress. And so that's just one of the insights from this book that's really helpful in having a positive, aligned, good feeling mindset that is really helpful for manifesting. So I definitely recommend reading this book or checking more out about the concepts in this book, because it's really awesome. I read it a couple of years ago and then I just picked it up again recently, and it's really amazing, helpful book for manifesting, even though it doesn't really talk about manifesting at all in the book. So just to kind of ground what I was just talking about with the gap in the gain in kind of more a personal example, this is definitely a mindset that I'm applying to my intentions for my business. Like in 2024, I had some intentions, some visions around kind of the income, the ideal income that I would want to be making in my business. And I did not reach that ideal. And it's like, if I kind of focused on the gap that still was there between what the ideal is and what I actually manifested, then I might be feeling like, that sense of lack or that sense of disappointment or that sense of frustration. If I really went deep into those feelings, and it might even tempt me to give up on what I'm doing, or like it could really get into a negative spiral. But what I've been training myself for a long time, and then getting reminded even more fully by this book, is to focus on the gain. And so instead I can look at, okay, based on my starting point at the beginning of 2024, there were a lot of gains. Maybe I didn't reach my ideal, but I did make more income in 2024 than 2023 in my business, and I worked with really great clients and like all these things. And so just measuring those gains and the internal gains too of how I've grown and the lessons that I've learned, things like that, then I can stack those and focus on those and be in more of a place of abundance and possibility and excitement, and not feel this sense of lack or this sense of I can't be happy, or I can't feel successful, or I can't feel like I'm enough or something like that because I didn't meet my ideal. I can feel progress, I can feel pride, I can feel excitement and happiness, those kind of things. And so that's just one example of kind of how I apply this mindset to help set me up for greater manifesting success in 2025 with the areas that are important for me. And I think this mindset is really, really helpful, especially when it comes to not getting attached to what we want to manifest by feeling like we can't really be happy or feel satisfied or feel good until the big dream manifests, because it puts our focus on reasons to feel happy and good and satisfied now. And it doesn't mean that we're not also excited and inspired about the ideal, about the vision of what we want to manifest, but we're using that as inspiration and for excitement. And then being able to recognize the progress that we take towards that is giving us that sense of greater satisfaction and less attachment to the end goal or the end state as what we are going to wait until we get there, until we really let ourselves feel happy. We're cultivating happiness and satisfaction and contentment and success now by focusing on what we've gained and then just adding to those gains as we keep moving along the path. One thing that's really helped me also with focusing in this way this past year in 2024 is manifestation journaling. I've been doing a lot of tracking all the little bits of progress and the signs and the synchronicities that I manifest along the path to some of my bigger goals. So that's another practice that can be really helpful for being able to put your focus on the little and the big gains that happen along the way, is just keeping a record, keeping an evidence log, keeping a success log, something like that. So that's something that I've also found super helpful that's related to this this mindset, this way of looking at things. And then reason number 2 for why I believe you are going to manifest and thrive in 2025 is that you likely manifested more than you think in 2024. So what I mean by this is that it's likely that in 2024 you may have, while you may not have manifested the exact 3D form that you were looking for, you manifested the essence or the true heart's desire of what you were wanting to manifest. Let me explain this with a little bit of a personal story. Again, this one is about business. So I had manifested my dream of doing my coaching business full time some years ago, but it ended up being kind of a stressful experience, or like I manifested it because I wanted a sense of freedom. I wanted to be able to make my own schedule. I wanted to be doing things that I really enjoyed, like have an enjoyable work experience, stuff like that. But it ended up being more stressful and more kind of, not exactly what I wanted. And so what I was inspired to do instead, after a time of trying to make that work, was to go get this job back in architecture, a field that I had worked in previously. And while in some ways of looking at it, I could have thought of that experience as being like not the manifestation that I wanted if I had stayed focused on my original intention, which was to be a full-time self-employed person, but instead I was now in a job. If I had just looked at that outer form, it may have felt like I didn't manifest my intention. But really, having this job, the way that the job manifested for me, it gave me the essences of what I had wanted with the self-employment business, the things that were really most important to me. Because the job gave me a lot of flexibility in my schedule. It gave me the income predictability and like comfort of not having to worry about money. It was abundant in that job, which was great. And also I was able to create my own schedule at that job, so I had the scheduling flexibility. The work was very light, so there was time during work to do other things, to do the things that I wanted to do. Also, my boss at the time, he assigned me some projects that were like helping with some of the marketing and business aspects with the architecture office, and those were things that I was already interested in and kind of wanting to learn about, so I was getting paid at my job to kind of do those things too. Also, another thing that kind of bothered me about working for myself was the lack of kind of in-person social interaction. And then working at this office, I was able to interact with these really fun, interesting people. Like my coworkers were really fun and really interesting and cool to hang out with. So that was another kind of true heart's desire that I had that was fulfilled through this job. So anyway, the point is just to, if you didn't manifest some of the specific kind of 3D forms that you were wanting to manifest in 2024, whether it's like a certain amount of money or job or relationship or whatever it is, if it was some kind of specific thing, to look at what the essence or the true desire was behind that intention. Kind of like, what was the feeling or the experience that you wanted, and did that manifest in some other ways in 2024 that maybe you haven't let yourself fully recognize and kind of appreciate? Because the universe is always trying to give us what we want, and sometimes it's the path of least resistance, or the way that it manifests is in a form that isn't what we always are identifying or expecting. It doesn't mean that we can't be really specific and create certain specific 3D forms. That's not what I'm saying. But like along the path to maybe even creating those forms, the universe goes ahead and gives you more of the essence of what you want. Another example that comes to mind is a client that I had before where she was wanting to manifest a new home, and then she got invited to do a lot of house sitting at these really nice homes. So she was having the experience of manifesting the essence of what she wanted. She was spending time in these wonderful homes and having that experience of just kind of having these homes to herself. So almost like she had them, for her as her own for a short time. But it was meeting the essence of what she wanted, even though it wasn't yet the specific form. So that is the other thing, the other reason why I believe that if you take a look at some of those intentions from 2024, you very likely will find that part or all of the true desire that you had behind those intentions may already be manifesting or has manifested in your life through another 3D form, or not exactly the 3D form that you identified. And when you recognize that, that helps you see what kind of a powerful manifestor you actually are and how the universe is working with you to bring you what you really want. Even if you don't fully articulate what it is, it knows the essence of what you want. It knows the true heart's desire and helps you bring that into reality. So those are a couple of the mindset shifts that I'm excited to take with me into 2025, of focusing on the gain instead of the gap, and also being able to appreciate how my desires are already manifesting. The essence of them is already manifesting and in my reality. So I hope that you found those mindset shifts helpful as well, and that you can do what I'm doing and use those as some evidence and some reasons already to believe that 2025 is going to be the year that we manifest and thrive. And if you would like more manifesting tips and tricks and inspiration from me, then I definitely recommend downloading my totally free guide to the 7 habits of highly magical people. There is a link to this in the description box below this video, and I also have links to learn more about my manifestation coaching, my psychic reading sessions, and my workshop that's available as a low-cost download that's called Spot On Intuition, all about pendulum dowsing, which is a super helpful tool for making decisions with your higher self. If you liked this video, I definitely recommend checking out this next video, which is all about how to release attachment and allow manifestation. These are similar concepts to what we talked about in this video, but going even deeper, so definitely check that out if you're interested. Thanks again for joining me today, and until next time, happy manifesting.